Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and I asked my viewers what their most anticipated metal albums of 2021 are. Yes, that's right, I've barely just come off of my favorites of 2020, and I'm already looking forward to the next year. That's just the way things go around here. And hey, by the way, if you're new here, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, so I kind of pulled you all in my community tab, and I'm just going to kind of look over first before I share some of my thoughts. So Lowell's Rafflecopters said Humanity's Last Breath. After hearing some singles from this upcoming, I'm definitely interested as well. Been more and more into deathcore lately. I'm actually more into kind of the Scandinavian stuff, like Cabal and Within Destruction, although that's more even further east in Europe. But yeah, Humanity's Last Breath. I am very interested to hear more from Vilde, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Last Day Breathing in Eternal Snow says Archspire. Absolutely. I actually didn't even know that they had another album planned right now. I hadn't heard anything, and I keep up with the Artisan Era if they're still on that label, so we will see. I will definitely be excited to hear that. I loved their last album. That was definitely one of the best albums of, was that 2018? Or 2019? I don't remember now. I'm losing track. I listened to a lot of music. They also said Veil of Maya, Cannibal Corpse too. Cannibal Corpse, last album was decent. Alright, Lord Slothrop says The Ruins of Beverist. Yes, this group has been putting out some really top-notch material lately, so I agree. Definitely interested to hear what they put out next. One of the more innovative groups out there. Alex Arrow says, I'm stoked to release a new album in 2021. A little self-promotion here, but I agree. Alex is with the grindcore band Grind of the Dead, and I've really enjoyed the past releases, no joke, even though him and I are kind of friends, acquaintances, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that influences how I feel about the music. I think it's pretty solid, and the level of maturation I've seen from album to album makes me definitely intrigued to actually hear the new stuff. So props to you, Alex. Josh Allen says, I'm looking forward to the new debut from Crypta. As I've become a Nervosa and Burning Witches fan, I'm looking forward to new Nervosa as well. Yes, I am not familiar with Crypta. I will have to check them out. But I am excited about Nervosa. Diva Satanica, I really enjoy her past work. She is also the vocalist for Bloodhunter, and man, she has strong, like, Angela Gassau vibes. Like, her presence and her voice, too. If we were to trade out vocalists for Arch Enemy right now, I think she would have been, honestly, a better pick, a better replacement in that area. And that's just my feeling on that. So, yeah, I love what she's doing with Nervosa. And I'm interested to hear how that album turns out. I was actually just returning an email today about being able to hear that album, hopefully early, and maybe even doing an interview. I've been really busy, so interviews have been harder lately, but that would be one I'd really enjoy. Riley Rowe of Kinkshamer fame, which you should definitely check them out too. I've been sharing some of their videos. I believe Viljarta and Nine Inch Nails album are in the works, yes. Get that Thal going with the Viljarta. I've never been like a huge fan of theirs, but every time I'm reminded of them, I go check out one of their songs and I'm like, oh yeah, this is fucking heavy as hell. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear a new one from them. And Nine Inch Nails, come on, like, longtime fan. I haven't been as into their newer stuff, so I'm a little bit lukewarm on it, but I will always check it out. Like, I'm never just gonna upright pass on it. JC Rock and Metal Reviews says Alice Cooper Detroit Stories. So yeah, I know this is going to be a big release. I may end up doing a review on it. I've never been a huge Alice Cooper fan, which is funny because there's this great story, not to derail completely, but my mom always talks about how I would watch the Muppet Show reruns, and I still love the Muppet Show, man. The Muppets are shit. But Alice Cooper, as some of you may know, was a music guest on one of those, and my mom always talks about how I wanted to watch Alice Pooper. Alice Pooper is what I called him. So I was introduced to him very early, but just never became a longtime fan. I would be intrigued to hear, I'm kind of always interested in what these legacy acts are doing. I kind of passed on AC/DC this year, so I don't know. We'll see if that intrigues me. But I'm sure there's going to be... JC Rock, you are not in short company for that, for sure. All right, Omega D3th? Yeah, I know you changed your name, and I don't know how to pronounce this new one, but in any case, you've got a list here. Nia Bliviscaris, absolutely. Their albums too, like that's another band that I feel like they've been getting better and better and really tightening their sound. When they first kind of blew up, I was sort of lukewarm. I really loved how they were bringing the strings into their sound, but it felt a little messy. And then the one after that really got better, and I'm hoping with this latest one, it'll be even better than that. Moonspell, yes, you and I are definitely on the same page with that. Definitely enjoyed their previous album, Septic Flesh. Love Septic Flesh. Got to see them live this past year before, everything went to hell. And that was a great time. And got to interview Sammy from Ensiferum. Or was that in 2019? Again, timelines are escaping me. Fun fact I've mentioned about Septic Flesh before. They're crazy imposing bodysuits. They're just leotards. I was in the green room with Sammy and I saw them hanging up to dry because I'm sure they get very sweaty, and they're just these tiny little stretchy things, and I just thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I love Septic Flesh. Hoping to do a Septic Flesh tier list at some point, but I'm a bigger fan of kind of their later career, their sort of resurgence albums, if you will. And I haven't delved as much into their earlier material, so I'll need to do that potentially if I go that direction. Their last album was kind of okay, so I'm hoping they can really bring it back around. I really enjoyed Titan. Like, I know a lot of people kind of crapped on Titan, but The Great Mass is just unbeatable, if you ask me. Mastodon, yes, I'm hoping that is better than the last album as well. They're a band that I will frequently check out. I just put up a Mastodon tier list too, if you have not checked that out, so big time fan of Mastodon. And then Therion, which I have never been a big listener of, but I will have to check that out as well. Robert Berdini says Gojira. Yep. I don't know. Did they formally announce? I know they dropped that single, which was pretty good. Magma was okay. I'd kind of like them to go back more into the more overt prog compositions, which I was pretty happy with the newer songs. So yeah, definitely always interested to hear more Gojira. Did a Gojira tier list recently too. Rivers of Nile, absolutely. Man, definitely one of the best albums of 2019 for sure. That surprised the hell out of me. I'd heard their album before that one, and I was kind of like, okay, they're fine. And then that album came out, and I was like, holy cow, like, this is amazing. It's like Mastodon and Opeth, and like putting their own spin on it. Just super awesome progressive metal album. Sludge, yes, I love Sludge. I hope y'all have checked out my interview. That was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done on the podcast, was with Matt from Sludge. That guy will talk forever if you allow it. We did like 2.5 hours, I want to say, maybe even longer, before I edited it a little bit. But he would have gone for like 5 hours if I had let him. And he is just a super interesting guy, and damn does he make just incredible music. So good. I would love to hear a new Sludge album. I know he had COVID this year, and so he said it's kind of messed up with his singing. So hopefully he'll be able to recover from that, and we'll get some new music. Megadeth, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I've never been a huge Megadeth fan. I love like the classics, but they're one of those bands like Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, like all the kind of the big four bands. I could really give a shit about their new material, because it's just almost a given that it's just going to be kind of okay, and that's just not good enough for me. Entheos, yes, love Entheos. Would love to hear a lot more from them. Yeah, they're fantastic, and it's been a little while, I think, since we heard them. And then also Conjurer, which I am less familiar with, but yeah, we should. I'll be sure to check that out. All right, Matyos Svich. I probably butchered the hell out of that. Anyways, they said Mechina or Mechina. I always forget how to pronounce their name. I really like them. Great underground band. I think they're out of Chicago, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, I've been hearing a couple people throw their name out there. I've actually added them to my review schedule because I definitely want to check that out. I'm always big on like bands from my old stomping grounds too, because I'm from the Chicago area originally. Bellacore, yes, Bellacore, amazing. Their last couple albums, man, they can just do no wrong, and they keep getting better and better. So yeah, absolutely need new Bellacore. Orden Ogan, not familiar with them. We'll have to watch for that. And Harakiri for the Sky. I have added that to my list as well. Another band I've never been like huge on, but I know they have a big following and they're kind of blowing up, so I'll be interested to hear that as well. Der Berserker says, "Dude, Imperium will release a new album, and the first single is so good. I'll have to check that out. I haven't yet. Also excited for new Evergrey, Epica, and Ex Imperatus albums. Definitely. That Epica single is blowing up. I wanted to do a reaction to that, but by the time I actually had the time to do that, there were so many reactions already up that there was no point. It was like, I'm not just going to throw myself in. It's been done. It's been done. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So yeah, I'm interested. That is on my list as well. And I'll be interested to check out Evergrey. Just realized that these are all bands that start with an E. That's a sign, I guess so. Also, Zavleg and Volvodynia working on new stuff. Okay, Volvodynia, I've been on and off yet. I'm not as into that like super brutal stuff, but as far as bands doing that, like Volvodynia, that's great, and I love that they're from like aren't they from like South Africa? So that's kind of cool as well. But yeah, I always check them out. They've had a few releases I really loved, and then some that I was kind of just okay with. Sam Hoppy says Mastodon, Gojira, and Megadeth. So some big ones on there, definitely, that, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking at. Sebastian Armas has a big list here, and I always give him credit. I love that he has the Triangle album cover from Shamash for his icon. So big props there. One of my favorite albums of that year. He says The Ruins of Beverist, Epica, Accept, Therion, Nia Bliviscaris, Transatlantic, Shamash, yes, absolutely. They've just been cranking out material. I still feel like they have not topped Triangle, but yeah, they've just been pretty consistent. Agent Fresco have been teasing since 2017, so we'll see. As Fix, Harakiri for the Sky, Moonspell, I can never say this band's right. Corpiclani. Emptiness, yes. Oh my god, Emptiness. I'm so stoked for new Emptiness. They are a band that's just one of the most forward-thinking, like, blackened death metal bands. If you can even call them that anymore, it's just so experimental. They just don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about them or what anyone would want them to do. I loved Not For Music. I loved Nothing But the Whole. Some of my favorite albums from those years. Cult of Luna, absolutely. So a bunch of repeats on here, but also some interesting standout things as well. And so that was what you all shared with me in terms of what you're most excited about. And definitely, like I said, some things on there that I share with you, but sharing some other things I've already put on my calendar. Anna Pest, who I shared on the Best of Bandcamp series, she has a full-length album coming out, and I really loved what I heard from her and the progression that she seems to be going through, and she commented on the video too, so I'm hoping I can reach out and get a hold of that and check it out, because she is definitely going places and has some real potential for sure. Malakim, I'm looking into, have the promo for that already, and I'm kind of intrigued by it, so I may or may not do that. I have Accept on my list. Aetheric is another album that I have on. I have the album already, considering checking it out. Portrayal of Guilt, I already put my review together for this. I think this was the first 2021 review that I've put together now, at this point, at the time of recording. That album's sick. Like, if you like, they're originally kind of like a hardcore, metallic hardcore, kind of like mix with screamo and post-hardcore thing, but this new album's more like Lord Mantis. Like, it is just sick and disgusting and vile and so good, and they already have some music videos out, so check them out and get hyped. Tribulation, I'm interested in checking out. I'm still more into their first album where it was just straight up melodic death metal, but you know, I give them credit for, again, kind of progressing and doing something really unique and just blowing up the way that they are, so be interested to hear that. Let's see. So I have Emptiness on here. That's a big one. Suffering Hour. Oh man, new Suffering Hour in February. If you have not checked out Suffering Hour, check out their last album. Fucking sick. Like, just disgusting, like, atmospheric, swirling death metal. If you like things like Portal and Abyssal, you'll love Suffering Hour. They're amazing. Considering the Solar Process. New Architects. I was not, stoked particularly about that new single. I called it like Imagine Dragons Core, and I stand by it. But I love Architects. I didn't really like the last album either, but I'm just interested. I'm always interested to see where they're going. And so I'll check that out. I don't anticipate it'll be like one of my favorite releases of the year. Chris has I Hate God on here, so you'll definitely be seeing a review from him on that. Never been a huge fan of them. A new single that I caught was just kind of okay. Seraphin Travail I'm also considering. And this isn't really a new release, but that new Windir, or Vindir, I should say, box set of the vinyl is just so gorgeous. I wish I could get it, but it is just too expensive. It's like $170 or something like that, but it's in this beautiful like carved wooden thing. But I might do some sort of content around that as well. And yeah, I think that kind of covers it in terms of what I'm aware of, what's already on my radar. And it's crazy. Like it's that time of year where stuff is already starting to come through. And so I've been getting 2021 albums in my mailbox already, and I'm starting to kind of sift through them. In the meantime, I'm still kind of like looking up December videos. I've got a lot of cool things coming up. Brought back the For Fans Of videos that I used to do all the time. Really excited to share with you all those. But yeah, let me know down in the comments, are there other bands that you're stoked about with new albums coming out in 2021 that I didn't talk about here? And of course, if you're new here, stick around. I got plenty more videos coming right after this one. Full album reviews, tier list, interviews with bands on the podcast, you name it, we've got it. Also support me on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.